Hey everyone, in today's tutorial I will be drawing this street scene of Hanoi. If you want to follow along, you can download the reference photo in the video description below. I'll be using the Strathmore visual journal with watercolor paper. This is one of my earliest Fude Nib fountain pens, the one that I use so often that the paint has now come off the metal body. A Fude Nib is a fountain pen nib with a bent tip, so this nib is capable of producing thin and thick lines depending on how you hold the pen. I will be dipping the fountain pen into this bottle of India ink. This is Speedball Super Black, but I'm not going to fill the ink into the fountain pen because this fountain pen is actually already damaged, so I'm using it as a dip pen. India ink is definitely not suitable for use inside fountain pens. When you open an ink bottle, if you see crusty bits like this, hardened bits of ink, this is not safe for use inside any fountain pens. I've actually not used a Fude Nib as a dip pen before. So let's see what happens. Just drawing the leaves here. So I can have thick lines like this and thin lines when I lift the pen more vertically. Alright, for this particular sketch, I'm going to divide it into left and right first. So I have this scene on the left. This is the city gate of Hanoi. So this is where the motorbike will be, and let me draw on the other side. Okay, I can see that the ink flow is really good because I'm using it as a dip pen. But since it's so good, I need to be careful when drawing. I need to draw from left to right so that I give the ink enough time to dry. Let's draw the motorbike rider here. The helmet is here. The hand will go down here. So there are a lot of bikes in Hanoi. It's kind of challenging to draw them because bikes, the perspective, there are so many different parts to a motorbike. It's really difficult and you have to pay a lot of attention when you're drawing. So using this Fude Nib pen as a dip pen, I'm quite surprised that it can hold a good amount of ink. Oops, I think I drew the leg a bit wrong. Let me pay a bit more attention to this. Let me draw the other guy who is seated on his bike on the left side. Now this guy, the bottom of the bike is actually much lower compared to the bottom of this bike. So I'm going to move this guy a bit higher up so that he can actually fit onto the page. If not, part of the bike is going to be cropped off. I'm also going to draw this a bit smaller. Oops. Too much ink. Now this watercolor paper, this Strathmore visual watercolor paper, the quality is actually quite good for a paper that is not made with 100% cotton. And I've had this paper for, since 2017. So this paper still performs well. Some paper, they actually expire, like the sizing would deteriorate over time due to humidity in the air, but for some reason it has been 2 years and this paper, it's still working kind of well. Anyway, we'll see how well it works in the second part of this video when I color this with watercolor. There is another biker behind. Now for this biker, I'm going to draw him with very thin lines because he's in the background. So for objects that are nearer to you, you can draw them larger. You can draw them with larger shapes. Everything can be larger, but for objects that are further away, you should draw them smaller with thinner lines to get the illusion of perspective. So here I have another ink blob. That's going to take a long time to dry. I may need to actually put this sketch out in the sun later on to help with the drying. But sometimes ink blobs like this, they can be quite interesting because you can get variation of thin and thick lines. Let me just very quickly continue drawing the left side. There are some flags here. 4 flags actually. The second one is here. Oops, too much ink again. This is I'm definitely going to have a difficult time drawing this later on. Now there is a corridor here, so some people can actually walk past into the city gate. And I want to draw some bricks. The bricks should actually follow the perspective, so the lines here, they should actually go down at an angle like this. And when the lines are close to the eye level, these horizontal lines, they will be perfectly horizontal. So here we have a very horizontal line, but as the line goes up away from the eye level or the horizon, the line is going to tilt down like this. I'm going to place some dots as well for some textures. Because we are looking upwards, we should be able to see a little bit of thickness, depth to this part here. For the leaves, you should draw them with micro details. By micro details, I mean the details have to be small like this. So this line here, for example, it's rather long and it doesn't have a lot of details. It's sort of straight, but not that straight. So if you take a look at nature, lines like this, they actually do not exist. For trees, at the edge of the trees, you're going to see a lot of micro details because of all those small leaves. There are some clothes hanging here. Alright, the left side is almost complete. So now I can move on to drawing the right side. So now I'm drawing those shelter that come out of the front of the shops. I'm going to draw this line up here, try and divide the scene into different sections. So that I can subdivide it later on. And it's a bit difficult to see some of the details because this scene, it's actually quite complicated. There are a lot of wires and cables hanging everywhere in Hanoi, so it can be a bit difficult to see what's behind those cables sometimes. There's a person here walking. Now the bottom of the feet of that person is here, so the waist, the end of that t-shirt will be somewhere there. There's a tall building here, and I think some trees here, some plants here. Another building that extends, an extension of the building. Sometimes when I draw, I just use a suggestion of what I see rather than copying exactly what I see. Sometimes you have to make adjustments so that your sketch can look clearer. Another window here. I almost drew the windows too big until it is touching this part here, which should not be. I There are some lights here, more plants, windows. By the way, if you want to check out more tutorials, I have more tutorials on my Patreon page. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can pledge a certain dollar amount to support artists that you like. So on Patreon, you will have, you can see and watch all those videos, all those full-length videos, such as the one that you're watching now, that I've created especially for my supporters. Sometimes I post time-lapse videos on my YouTube channel, and the full-length version will be available on Patreon for those who want to watch and learn, because for time-lapse videos, it's very difficult for me to include and talk about everything because there is just so much to talk about. And sometimes when there are so much details, it's very easy to get lost, like you're drawing halfway and then you're wondering where are you drawing, which part you should be drawing. It happens to me quite often, especially for very complicated detail scenes with a lot of details, a lot of things, a lot of little parts here and there. Like this traffic light here, this traffic light, it has so many cables and so many parts, it's very difficult to draw. So let me just draw the big shapes first and then the little details. Okay, I'm right at the edge of this paper, this sheet of paper. Oh, there are some plants here as well, on top of the roof. So when drawing, you will be able to notice little details here and there, like what kind of shops these buildings, what kind of shops these are, what kind of products they are selling inside the stores. Are there actually people living in there? And who are the customers? These are the things you think about when you're drawing on location, because you have so much time when you are sketching on location. I've got to say that this Fude Nib pen works really well. It works really well as a dip pen. So I don't have to reload it that often. So I can spend a lot more time drawing. Alright, for the bottom here, I'm going to add some cars, some people walking on the street. Now this photo was taken with me seated down, or at least I was squatting, so my eye level is at the waist level of the people in the scene. So when drawing people in this scene, I need to draw the waist, which is at the bottom of the t-shirt. So this is the bottom of the t-shirt. I need to draw it. I need to make sure that the waist intersects with my eye level. So this would be the bottom of the t-shirt, and I can use that to scale up. This lady is carrying something on her head. And I know this is the top, so this is one half and this will be the bottom half, so this is where the feet will end. Oops, I think I drew the feet a bit off. Alright, let me not go back and make it worse. So for the vehicles, you can use the same method. Where is this line compared to the eye level? So this line actually is at the waist level for the people. Oh, there is a motorbike here, but I didn't draw that. Anyway, I will just not draw the bike. Maybe I'll draw the bike here. So that's one good thing about drawing on location. If you are drawing on location, you don't have to follow exactly what you see. or when you're working with photographs like this, you don't have to copy exactly what you see. Let's draw a few people in this little vehicle here. This is the underside of the vehicle. Some signboards. Let's add a little more details to the shops. They are selling some things. There are some bikes parked here. For details in the background, again, draw them with thinner lines. Okay, so, oops, did I drop a drop of ink there? No, it's actually from my hand. Motorbikes are always moving, so it's very challenging to actually draw them. So one trick is to draw a bike that is actually not moving, but draw a person on the bike, so it looks like as if that person is riding or she's riding the bike. So here, let me put the hand, the legs. I've dropped too much ink here as well, which is alright, because when someone looks at your sketch, they know that you're not drawing with a normal fountain pen, because a normal fountain pen will not produce lines like this, thick and thin lines like this. But if you're drawing with a normal fountain pen that produces only consistent lines and you see ink blobs, it's going to look weird. Another lady riding a bike here, a bicycle in this case. When drawing bicycles, you really have to concentrate. I mean, bicycles, if you draw them wrongly, they are not going to look right. Okay. A person who is walking. Now this is interesting. This person that is walking, this person is of the same height as the person riding the bicycle on the left. So these are the things you notice when you are drawing. If you're just taking a photo or if you're just looking at a scene, you don't really think about things like this, like, oh, this person that is standing or walking, the height is the same as the person who is riding the bike. You don't think of these things. There are some people seated on those small stools. Oops, I think I drew this off a bit. Let me draw the legs here, another person there. Make sure that the waist of the person is at your eye level, because for this photo, that's where the eye level is. This part here, I think I may have to add another additional roof right up here, because this roof that I added earlier, it's too short. Right here, I'm not sure what kind of details I should add for the shops that are behind, so I'm just going to add like things like shelves. If you are drawing on location, you will be able to see a lot more, because for this particular photo, I have people blocking my view. When you're on location, you can move around and see things to get a better view. Oh, this is a motorbike. Again, very difficult to draw. And many of these areas here, they are like black. It's like the black, they merge together into one shape that's very difficult to see the smaller shape. So I'm just going to leave this motorbike like this. Maybe draw the wheel here and the wheel here. Alright, this sketch is almost done. I just want to add some dots here and there to give it more texture. Now drawing with this Fude Nib pen, it already creates a lot of textures because of the thin and thick lines. But I want to add a bit more texture. There's some dots here. to give it a bit more texture. The cables, yeah, almost forgot to draw the cables. So those are really messy. And I'm going to try and get the angle of the cables right. So there's one here. There's a bunch hanging from this place here. Goes down and then goes up again. Goes down and then goes up again. And here it goes down and it connects here. So it's a very big bunch of cables. And while drawing this line, the pen stopped suddenly because it was caught in this pool of ink that prevents the pen from moving. This goes here. There's just too many cables for me to draw. But you also don't want to draw so many cables that it obscures the details that you have in your scene. Alright, this sketch is complete. While waiting for this to dry, I'm going to wash my fountain pen, and in the next video we will paint this with a limited color palette. So see you in the next video.